So we want to know what was the general performance of political parties. As you know that in before the election of the 2019 general elections, there were a number of political parties added to the previous ones, making it 91 political parties.
Thank you very much. We are pleased with the fact that the space has been expanded now. Like you said, we have 91 political parties on our register, out of which 73 participated in the last presidential election. Of course, varying figures participated in the governorship election in the respective states. And because many of them came on board between 2015 and now, there is like an incubation period. So one cannot really say that you will measure them by the number of votes they secured. I think a political party should exist for a long time, and when you are starting, you begin to gather experience. But I think by and large, we are not there to measure. We are there to manage and provide the level playing ground, which we are doing. But we hope that as time goes on, things will improve for each and every one of the new ones.
Okay, these new political parties, you know, the activities of many were so very low before the elections. Would you say that some of these parties actually performed well? At least they did well during the election.
Well, as you know, right now we have two big players um, on the political space, and uh, the last election was largely determined by these two big players. But we had others that are also coming up. Like I said, we are not interested in judging the performance based on the number of votes. Our interest really is to provide a level playing ground. But I think that the political party also owe it a duty to, provide voter education, to also engage in membership drive. It's part of their responsibility to come up with robust manifestos and sell that to members of the public, because political parties are supposed to be open to all Nigerians. That's part of the requirements for registration. You cannot form a political party based on religious affiliation or based on ethnic consideration. Every Nigerian must be able to be a member, must be able to register as members of your political party. And I think that because they are just starting off, they've just been registered, it's not up to 3, 4, 5 years, they will continue to gather experience. So let's not judge, let's give them a chance. We still have several general elections lined up ahead of us, and I think they will get better and better.
Okay, what are those rules in Electoral Act that we determine for the registration of political party?
Wow. Well, I think the first one is that if you fail to win any election in the general election per se, presidential, governorship, or a seat in the national or state assembly election, then Inec has the power to deregister you, or you contravene any of the conditions set before you as contained in the Constitution and the Electoral Act at the time of registration. And I mentioned just one of them now. You cannot preach religion, you cannot preach ethnicity, you cannot say that you are appealing to a section of the country. That is not allowed. The moment you do that, then we have grounds to deregister. But more importantly, what the law says is that if you fail to win a seat in both the national and state assembly election, or you fail to win governorship or presidential, then you are on your way to being deregistered.
Wow, and you can see that there was a lot of elections before the general elections, and
Right.
even after the general elections, there are so many elections. After all this, why? And you discover that some of the political party cannot even win a local government in even that is even lower than state assembly. Is there any move of the commission to deregister any of the political party?
Well, as I speak, the Commission has not taken any decision on whether it will deregister one political party or the other. So the decision rests with the Commission principally. But I think that from the feelers we get, we've been meeting with the body of political parties, we have consultations with them. The mood is that Nigeria does not even have enough political parties. So naturally, you don't expect them to be pleased with any news that you would deregister them. And at this point, it would be premature for me to announce that we would deregister one political party or the other, because it's left for the Commission to take that decision.
Oh, wow. How were you able to cope during the 2019 general elections, seeing in lots of political parties coming together, printing of papers and all of these things? How was it easy? How was it?
Thank you for that question. And I think that when people try to judge Inec, quote and unquote, they don't pay enough attention to what we had to grapple with during the 2019 general elections. Now we have 91 political parties. And it will interest you to know that if on the ballot paper for presidential election alone, if we miss a political party, if we fail to list a political party, either by way of acronym or symbol, that is enough to nullify the election. So what we did was, we were proactive. We had consultation with the political parties. And we had our designs. We had different designs of the ballot paper. Because now we have 91, it's different from what we had in 2015. We had about 30 political parties. We consulted with them. We designed different ballot boxes, which we call dummy. We displayed these ballot boxes, and we gave them the dummy ballot papers, and we asked them to choose between the samples that we produced. And it was like a critique of what we did. And at the end of the day, they all agreed on which one we should do. So, and that's INEC's style. There's no decision we take without involving the stakeholders. So that's how we're able to come up with the ballot paper that we used. And of course, you remember that during the election, there was this controversy about whether you use your thumb or other finger to print, because people were saying that the boxes are smaller and maybe the acronyms may not be clear enough, but we ensure that the boxes are big enough to take the ink of a finger. I mean, whether it's a thumb you were comfortable with or any of the fingers, as long as you point your finger at the right spot, that in the middle of the box with the names and acronyms on the left and the boxes on the right, and you don't, fingerprint in such a way that the ink will stray into another box or be in the middle of two. So we should be able to see clearly which political party you have voted for. I think that going forward, we will improve. The next general election will certainly be a better one than the ones we have, and we've been improving with every election that we conduct.
Okay, the next worry now is that some of these political parties may not even have offices, they don't even have a place, or they don't even have their people, members of political parties, but they are creating this burden on INEC, not just INEC, I mean the nation. These kind of political parties, what do we do to them?
Look, it's part of the requirements for political parties. At the point of registration, you must be able to tell us where your offices are. In fact, you must bring a utility bill of that particular place, either NEPA or Water Corporation or something, that will contain the name of the landlord or the name of the executive member, any of the political party, with that address that we can trace to the address. And we expect that you will not tell us lies. We also verify these things. And before we give you the license, you also tell us who your executive members are. And what the law says is that you must have the geographical spread. The membership of your executive, those who make up your team, must have at least members from two-thirds of all the states of the federation. So you cannot take indigenes of one particular state, for instance, and say they're executive members. We want to see. In fact, the law also requires that you give us certificates of indigenous. You know, if you say you are from Borno State, you must present a letter that says you're actually from Borno State. You go to your local government and they give you a certification that you are from that state. That's available. So it's part of the requirements you must submit. So these are the things that we verify, and when we are convinced, we register. So we don't expect now that after all of that, anything will now come out to now say that maybe the address you gave was not really your address. If that happens, then it means that you have flouted the law, and then sanctions will be applied.
Wow. And when you look at the conditions for even registering the INEC, you discovered maybe you paid 1 million and the other
That's correct.
things, and
That's correct.
and you just didn't register.
No, it's not little things. You pay 1 million. That's the administrative fee.
Yeah, the administrative fee. But
Now,
I'm
what the
saying
law says is this.
The requirement so much is not too strict.
No, it's
That
strict.
is,
It's
to
strict.
say-
In fact, the regulations. If I can't reel out each requirement, but it's not something like 5 or 6. There are like 20 or 30 requirements that you must fulfill before you get to that stage. And let me tell you, what the law says is that when you apply, INEC must register you within 30 days. And that if we have any cause not to register you, we will notify you in writing within the 30 days to say that you have the requirements or you don't have the requirements, you need to do X, Y, Z. But the law also states that if we don't respond within 30 days, then the political party should assume that it is registered. Now, in exercise of the powers conferred on us by the Constitution and the Electoral Acts, there were actually some parties that we refused to register, but these parties went to court and were able to get a favorable judgment, and the court actually ordered us to register them. So a few of the political parties, the 91 that we have now, we actually registered on the strength of the court order. So we are doing our job. As far as we are concerned, it is not INEC's duty to determine the number of political parties. What INEC does is to follow the law. The law has not placed any lead on the number of political parties to be registered. So now we have 91. The next general election, we will have up to 200. As long as they fulfill the requirements, we'll continue to register them. If the National Assembly that is responsible for making laws, if there is enough reason for them to say that, look, we should peg the number of political parties at a particular number, 150 and all of that, then they will make the law. It will be explicit. Then what INEC would do is just to follow the rule. But we are not on our own. We don't even have the power to say that this is the number of political parties that must be registered in Nigeria. That's outside our jurisdiction.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.